Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a scalpel to something quite specific. It's really just a title page. Excerpts from English Learning Conversation. Now, the title itself isn't the main draw, interestingly. It's the setting it points to, at the airport. And here's the thing. We don't actually have the dialogue lines. But strangely enough, that kind of works for us. Our mission today is really to sort of reverse engineer the task given to the language learner here. We want to figure out why the creators zeroed in on the airport for these crucial conversations.
Right.
And what specific high-stakes language bits must be in those excerpts. It's a dive into, well, pedagogical choices.
It's a great way to look at it because the airport, it's not just another place, is it? It's this high-pressure zone for communication.
Exactly.
I mean, if you fail to communicate effectively there, the results are instant, often expensive, and frankly, really frustrating.
Yeah, you don't just get misunderstood.
No. You could miss your plane, your luggage goes missing, you might even end up heading to the wrong city entirely. It forces you to apply language skills immediately and correctly. It turns learning into a truly functional, almost critical skill.
Okay, so if we strip away the usual conversational padding, talking about the weather, hobbies, food, what are the absolute must-have communication acts? What makes the airport such a unique test?
Well, it really boils down to two core functions, I think, and both demand a kind of precision that everyday casual English just doesn't.
Okay, what's the first one?
The first is critical information exchange. Think about the check-in counter. That conversation is highly transactional. It's almost entirely about getting specific data across.
And getting it right, presumably. No room for error. It's not about sounding eloquent. It's about fast, accurate transfer of key details, right? Like flight numbers, gates.
Exactly right. Flight numbers, gate numbers, those confirmation codes, maybe baggage weight, departure times. Precision is key. Vague sentences or little grammatical slips that might be found elsewhere, they can be disastrous here. Imagine saying something like, my plane is flying soon, where is it?
Doesn't help much.
Not at all. Compare that to, could you confirm the current gate and boarding time for flight LH455 to Frankfurt? See? That uses modals, specific nouns, numbers. The learning material has to nail the clarity of numbers and specific vocabulary words like layover, connecting flight, excess baggage, customs declaration.
Yeah, you mix up departure and arrival and the whole thing falls apart.
Instantly. The environment just punishes that kind of ambiguity straight away.
Okay, so that covers the smooth process. But let's be real, airports are often chaos zones precisely because things go wrong. So the learning material can't just pretend it's all easy.
Absolutely not. And that leads us straight into the second core function, which is arguably tougher, problem resolution.
Okay. This is where the stress kicks in.
It really does. This is where a learner's emotional control and their grammatical skills get properly tested. The excerpts must include scenarios like delays, maybe cancellations, lost bags, sudden gate changes.
Right.
And that pushes the conversation way beyond simple scripts. You need complex functional language now.
So what kind of functions are we talking about? It's more than just, where's my bag?
Oh, much more. You need, I'd say, 3 critical language skills here. First, temporal sequencing and explanation. The learner needs to clearly explain what happened when.
Like, okay, I checked in at 10, then I waited here, but now the bag isn't on the carousel. That kind of thing.
Exactly. You need solid past tenses, connectors like however, therefore, so then. Second, you need to express frustration or confusion politely.
Tricky balance.
Very. Learning to say, I'm a bit confused by this announcement, or actually, I'm quite concerned about this delay, without sounding rude or, losing your cool. And third, you often need persuasion and negotiation.
Right, especially if you need rebooking or something.
Precisely. Using conditional clauses. If I miss this connection, will the airline rebook me on the next flight? The stakes are high, so fluency in these more complex structures becomes really important.
And here's something that strikes me. The airport forces you through so many different kinds of interactions, one after another. Sometimes very formal, sometimes rushed and informal.
That's a crucial point. You might go from a very formal chat with a customs officer to a quick, almost barked instruction from a security agent, then maybe a casual moan about the delay with another passenger.
Yeah, the required style changes constantly.
It does, and that sequence really shapes how these learning excerpts should be structured. We can actually break the airport experience down into these distinct linguistic challenge zones.
Okay, how would you segment that?
Well, first up, you have the transactional segment. This is your initial contact check-in, dropping bags, maybe immigration or passport control.
Very formal stuff.
Highly formalized, yes. Polite, official language is key. The excerpts need those typical staff questions using modals. May I see your passport? Could you please state your final destination? And the learner needs to respond with equally formal, precise language. There's very little wiggle room for small talk here. It's all protocol.
Right, it's the language of pure procedure. But then, once you're through security, say, things change. You're trying to find your way around.
Exactly. That brings us to the navigational segment. The language shifts. It's less formal confirmation, more about understanding directions, spatial relationships, and listening carefully.
So prepositions, directions.
Definitely. Prepositions of place, near, opposite, past. Phrasal verbs for movement like head over to, look out for, maybe even double back. But the key thing here is that the learner is often getting these directions while they're stressed, maybe rushed, lots of noise, confusing signs everywhere.
Yeah, it's hard to process information then.
Very. So the excerpts for this part should really focus on clarifying things. The learner absolutely needs to be able to ask good clarification questions, maybe using embedded questions if they're unsure.
Like, sorry, did you say turn left before the big coffee shop or after it?
Precisely that kind of thing. It tests listening skills and the confidence to ask for clarification immediately, not just wander off confused.
Okay, that makes sense. Which brings us to what feels like the hardest part, the real linguistic challenge. The emergency or urgency segment.
The high-pressure moments.
Yeah, like I'm running late, the gate's changed, my connection looks impossible, my stress levels are through the roof, and I need to cut through the panic and speak clearly and quickly.
You've hit it exactly. This part tests if the learner can communicate complex needs when they're under real pressure. Mistakes now could be, well, really bad.
So the language needs to be fast, assertive.
Both. Speed and sometimes rhetorical insistence. Think about, say, an overbooked flight situation. The agent's offering vouchers. The learner might need specific vocabulary about compensation, contracts even, and they might need to make strong statements. Look, I absolutely must be on this flight. I have a vital meeting.
It's a switch from being polite and passive to being clear and assertive.
It is, and often it involves things like quickly spelling out a name or reading a confirmation number while there's an announcement blaring overhead and the agent looks impatient. It's really an endurance test for functional language skills under fire.
Wow. Okay, so think about it this way. Transactional, navigational, urgency. It connects right back to the learner using these excerpts. If you understand these different modes, you're not just randomly memorizing phrases, you're actually training your brain to anticipate what kind of language you'll need before you even get to the counter or ask for directions. That must help reduce that feeling of being overwhelmed.
It absolutely should. It provides a mental framework.
But this brings us back to the why. Why the airport? Why did the creators of this English learning conversation material pick this specific stressful environment? Why not, I don't know, at the supermarket or making a doctor's appointment? Those are necessary too, right?
They are necessary, definitely, but they generally lack two crucial ingredients: irreversible consequences and intense time pressure.
Ah, okay. Explain that.
Well, if you mess up at the supermarket, maybe buy the wrong coffee. You've wasted, what, $5 in a few minutes? Annoying, but not a disaster.
Right.
If you mess up the communication at the airport check-in, you could miss a flight worth hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars. You could delay a crucial business trip by a whole day. You create huge logistical problems for yourself and maybe others.
The stakes are just way higher.
Massively higher. The airport is actually a brilliant pedagogical choice because it provides that powerful, tangible motivation. The fear of failure is, well, it's a very strong driver for learning.
That makes sense.
And beyond that, the airport offers this incredibly rich, contained mix of different language registers, formal, semi-formal, informal, that you rarely encounter so quickly in other single locations.
Right, you get to the very official language with staff, maybe slightly less formal with security, and then potentially quite casual chat with another traveler about, I don't know, how bad the coffee is or how long the delay seems.
Exactly. It's like a whole microcosm of functional English packed into one journey.
So, okay, pulling this together for the learner, looking at these hypothetical excerpts, the big takeaway seems to be ruthless focus, efficiency and accuracy above all else.
Precisely.
Forget fancy words or complex sentences if they aren't needed. Ambiguity is the enemy here. The core idea is every single utterance needs to serve a clear, immediate purpose related to getting from A to B successfully.
Absolutely. Function over flair every time in this context. If these excerpts are well designed, the learner should come away feeling confident they can handle the essentials. Check the bag, find the gate, understand the times, maybe even sort out a minor problem like a delay. Real, tangible outcomes.
So this deep dive, just based on the source title really, confirms it. Effective language learning for these critical real-world situations. It hinges on mastering structured, functional conversation geared towards immediate needs transactions, navigation, problem solving. It's really clear why the airport is considered such a gold standard for high-stakes language practice. Thanks for unpacking the sheer necessity built into that simple title.
My pleasure. It really highlights how context shapes language needs. And maybe here's a final thought for you, for the listeners to mull over. If the airport represents that high-stakes transactional communication where speed, clarity, getting things done is paramount, what environment might be the next critical test for a learner? Maybe one that shifts the focus away from just exchanging information towards something more complex, like needing skills in persuasion or building relationships or maybe engaging in sophisticated debate about abstract ideas. Where would that happen? Something to think about for your next language challenge?